All right, so I was a big free speech bro, right? I think it's fair to call me that. Free speech absolutist. You know, the only time you should ever really crack down on speech is if there's direct threats of violence, things of that nature, and in cases of rank defamation and slander, libel, whatever. But you get the point. I used to stress the importance of free speech. Well, looking at what Twitter has become, you'd be an idiot if you didn't stop and reconsider that position. Because now Elon Musk has basically made it a giant right-wing cesspool. I mean, there's Nazi apologia on there on a daily basis, 24/7. But perhaps even worse than that, there is like rampant, clear, obvious, insane misinformation and disinformation that proliferates like you never would have thought. See, the argument was, to be pro-free speech, the argument was, bro, battlefield of ideas. And what'll happen is the truth will always beat out the falsehoods in the long run, and the cream will always rise to the top, and the correct narrative will defeat the wrong narratives. And we have enough evidence. That is fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. Oftentimes what happens, because human beings are flawed, and sometimes we're stupid, is whatever is the most sensationalist thing will become the story of the day. And we'll get the most eyeballs and the most retweets and the most likes. So this is a really, really good example of this right here. So one of the narratives that the right has really run with in the past few days is that the FEMA response to Hurricane Helene is like that of the FEMA response to Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, where, you know, they were really slow to act and they didn't do a good job, etc. Well, when you go talk to all the local officials and the local politicians and even the governor, etc., they tell you, look, day of, they were already on the phone. They already declared an emergency. They already upped the status as soon as they were supposed to up the status. They're sending the help and all that. And basically, like, yes, FEMA's doing the job that FEMA's supposed to do, but the right is now really leaning into this idea of, like, they've been, these people have been totally abandoned by the federal government. Okay, that's not true. That's not true. Now, having said that, look at the stuff that's proliferating on social media, hand in hand with this bogus narrative. So here you have a tweet from Amy Creamer. This picture has been seared into my mind. My head hurts. And it's a picture of a little girl wearing a life jacket holding a puppy. Okay? I'll hold off on talking about the picture here for just a second because I want to show you what she responded to herself with. So the next tweet in the thread. Y'all, I don't know where this photo came from. And honestly, it doesn't matter. It is seared into my mind forever. There are people going through much worse than what is shown in this pic. So I'm leaving it because it is emblematic of the trauma and pain people are living through right now. So, of course, the reality about this picture, it is the most obvious fake AI image ever created ever. If you ask me beforehand, Kyle, will anybody think this is a real picture? I would say to you, no. Nobody is that stupid. Because it literally looks more like a painting than a picture. It's not even a convincing AI image, right? Not remotely convincing. It's almost like they made it to not look realistic. Well, this idiot was spreading it as if it was realistic. And then when she gets called out on it, she goes, look, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. There are people who are going through this right now anyway. And, it's traumatic and people are living through hell right now. So the spirit of it is true, right? That's kind of what she's saying. Forget the specifics. The spirit of it is true. And it reminds us of the pain of what people are going through. So, by the way, here's what the community note said. Quote, it is not a photo. It is a 100% fake AI-generated image. Fake generative AI technology has been called the ultimate disinformation amplifier. Therefore, it is important to identify such fake images, especially when they are used by politicians. So now, this is just one example right here. World's fakest AI image, this person spreading it as if, it's real. And then doubling down and being like, she still calls it a photo. Did you notice that in her follow-up tweet? I don't know where this photo came from. It's not a fucking photo, you absolute freak. It's not a photo. And then she goes on, it's directionally true. The spirit of it is true. So what do you want me to say? Now, you might look at this and say, okay, Amy Creamer, whatever. Never heard of her before. Can't be that important. Can't have that big of an audience, et cetera, right? And I could understand people believing that. Well, guess what? She's not the only one. And not only is she not the only one, you have very big name conservatives who who are spreading it. Look at this. Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck. He says, and I quote, "The result of Harris-Biden. Vote." And then he tweets similar AI picture, and it says, the face that cost the evil demarxists their time and power. Please share widely. He literally thought, again, let's reiterate here. Let me zoom in a little bit. The world's fakest AI image was real. The world's fakest AI image was real. And so this BBC Verify guy, he says the following. It's been several days since this purported image of a child affected by Hurricane Helene was widely debunked as an AI-generated fake. And somehow Glenn Beck is still sharing it with his 1.9 million followers today as if it's real. Guys, I'm just giving you one example of this here. I don't want to be dramatic, but if 100% of people, or at the very least 99.5 to 9% of people, right? If they can't look at this and immediately go, obviously fake. We are so cooked as a society. We are so cooked. Because if you're falling for this, what happens when it's an actual convincing AI image, or when the technology gets even better and it's mega convincing? I'm sorry, but these Republicans and also the boomers, I mean, that's the group, right, that falls most easily for misinformation. Republicans and boomers, and if you marry them together, Jesus. What are they going to do? I mean, these are the sorts of people to reply to an email that says they're a Nigerian prince and they just need you to send some money so they can unlock $1 million to give you some of it, right? This is where we're at with this. How do you not know, bro? How do you not know? This is the equivalent of falling for like the chain emails back in like 2006. Like, Obama's a Marxist, Muslim, Kenyan, bro. And just, did you guys hear that Obama's a Marxist, Muslim, Kenyan? I know, because it was emailed to me. Again, so here's the bottom line, guys. We are not equipped. People are not equipped. We are not truth-seeking machines. We are so heavily influenced by our society and our culture and our in-group, out-group mentality and our confirmation bias that we're not prepared for this. And so the idea of having community notes I'm now 100% in favor of. The idea of having some semblance of content moderation where you rank the accuracy of something, etc., I don't see how you can do without it. Because I'm not kidding when I say, without these sort of guardrails, you are literally going to have, oftentimes, the dumbest and the fakest shit will blow up the most, get the most eyeballs, and convince the most people. And then we're just going on like entire elections are based completely and utterly off brazen misinformation. And when you base it off brazen misinformation, you of course can have the worst actors controlling the narrative, whether it be, the Haitians, they're eating dogs, they're eating cats, whether it be the neo-Nazi group Blood Tribe that spread that lie, or you have foreign governments trying to influence us here. Like, our public square is the least healthy it's ever been. The fact that anybody could fall for this AI image and then double down on it, by the way, Glenn Beck later on, he had it up for a long time, but later on, he did at least delete it. But there are going to be plenty. There are some accounts, guys, listen to this. There are some accounts, right-wing accounts, that literally all they do is purposefully spread misinformation. And that's allowed. That's just allowed. Go ahead. There are people who pretend to have, a mole inside the Biden-Harris campaign, and they spread news from what's going to happen, and the shit never fucking comes true, but they spread it, and people believe it, and that helps shape, okay, 1/2 of the body politic in this country has completely and utterly lost their fucking minds. And I'm being kind by just saying 1/2, but that's where we are. Anybody who falls for this picture, they should voluntarily be nowhere near a voting booth. You are not prepared to have the responsibility to vote. You're not. If you fall for this image, you have the IQ of a gnat. You have the IQ of a gnat. And I'm being too kind with how I'm describing this. I really should go over the top and go a lot further, but I won't. I'll show some restraint. I'll show some discipline. But inexcusable, man. And for the future, we're so cooked. There's going to be more AI videos. This happened. Remember we covered it the other day where libs of TikTok slowed down a Kamala Harris video, the speech of a Kamala Harris video, and then said, look, she's drunk. No, she's not. You just slowed down the video to make it sound like she's slurring and make it sound like she's drunk. And this stuff takes off like wildfire. These people are disgusting. These people are disgusting. And there's some who are purposefully spreading misinformation, knowing it's misinformation. And then there are the fucking dupes and morons like Glenn Beck who fall for it and spread it and still think that there's some authoritative voice that you should listen to on politics. Never do that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.